Hi, I'm Coleen and welcome to my channel. I thought I would share a sneak peek of my Tuesday's tutorial block. Occasionally, if the block seems like it's going to be too much to make and it's identical on both sides, I will make half before the live and the other half on the live. That way you can kind of get an up close beforehand or after, a little bit better than the live. This is the block. It's called Gift Box Bow. Gift Bow Box? Something like that. And here's everything you'll need for it. It looks like a lot. It's really not. Take a screenshot. And here's one colorway. I was playing with the colors because I wasn't sure. And here was the other colorway, and what I'm doing is much closer to this one. Because it didn't break down like I wanted it to, I made myself some templates so I could figure out exactly what sizes I needed to cut. And the fun part, choosing little pieces of fabric. I wound up using 2 dark blue 5-inch squares, 2 lighter blue 5-inch squares, and what would have been the equivalent of a 1 5-inch square in gray, but I had some scraps, so I used those. This tower thing is my favorite thing. It is so easy to keep whatever season is in that, bring it over to where I'm cutting, because y'all know I sit on my recliner to cut and things because it's easier on my back. Do what works for you. Nobody says you gotta stand to cut. My first thought was the sparkly blues, but that went with anything else in the blocks I've done so far. And I'm trying very hard to keep them matching-ish. That's why the 6-inch, when an 8-inch would have been easier, I think. And yes, that's what I do. I figure it out and I write it down as I go. So I can have a semi-understandable fabric cut list for you guys with a picture. I really don't do the, A, B, C, which I was thinking I should start doing because I know how. The very first pattern I ever helped on was written like that. And this piece was too small. I know a lot of you don't like the tiny piecing, so the next size that I have free in a Google Doc, all you have to do is download it and save it as a PDF. It will be in the first comment pinned and underneath the video and my live, and probably pinned to the live chat on the live. But it's in the 6 and the 12-inch size because I know a 12-inch size makes things go faster, and I don't think anybody's doing these with me, but if anybody got the urge to, one day, they could do a more reasonable size than 6 inches. I just think they're so darn cute. I really can't help myself. And I did have to recut one of those too that I didn't show because I cut it the wrong size. It was a wonky cut. I thought it was straight. It was wonky. And this one, had I line it up with the first diagonal underneath that corner of my ruler right there, just like I'm going to do here in a minute. Oh, wait. gonna do something else. I did this and they just didn't look right, so then I went back and I lined them up with that line right there underneath my fingers. Went back and straightened them up. The cutoffs I have from the, I'm calling it the vintage quilt setting from 3-yard quilts that I'm using. The cutoffs from those were almost just the right size for these triangles that I needed. So I took those and I cut them down to the right size. It's easier to cut from a square than it is to do like I am. Both ways clearly work, but I would rather cut down from a square than sit there and piddle with trying to cut all these up like this. And see that just a little bit? That can throw you off. I think there's one that I maybe should have put an 1/8 in there. Nobody wants to mess with an 1/8. And right here is how you would get the squares and then crisscross cut to where they're like that. And you get 4 of the triangles. Or you can use your scraps and do it like I did. You use the line. This is a 4.5-inch ruler from Missouri Star. These are all the ones I already had cut. Let's just enjoy some silence. This was a scrap piece that I had messed up from the setting pieces I was doing. And if there's time, Tuesday, I might add a couple of those setting pieces that I already have ready to put on the block to it. Really don't need to go over an hour. On my lives, I mean. It's a struggle. I talk, and then I'm afraid I miss stuff. And then, you know, it's a struggle. And I'm putting the scrap pieces back in my little container. And setting up my project board. This is one I made with a clingy blanket, a large acrylic bolt holder from Missouri Star, and 2.5-inch strip folded like you would binding. Did not stay glued to the acrylic. I'm going to try double-sided tape though. I'm supposed to get some of that, I think, Tuesday, maybe Monday. Did I cut too many? I think I cut too many of that. Maybe not. I lay them all out. I should have used one of my bigger boards. I just really like this one. That's little. They should fit. Now the 2 light and dark squares, the smaller ones, those are the ones I thought maybe I should have used an 1/8 instead of a 1/4. I'll have to double check. I think they're 1 1/4. I think 1 1/8 may have worked out better. But if you at first you don't succeed, you know, fudge it, it'll be fine. I've laid the 2 quadrants that I'm going to sew before the live out, and I'm setting them up to sew, and I'll take a pin. You can use clips. I shouldn't use clips. I like to live dangerously. After I set them back up over here to make sure I've still got them right, the 2 sections that I'm doing, because they're It's the same block. These two sections together, flipped upside down, make the other side. But I'm pinning on the side that I'm going to be sewing because I am very, very bad about forgetting which side I'm going to be sewing. I take the pin out and I completely ignore it too. Now I'm going to line the bottom and that edge right there together, and I'll put a pin in it. And if I was doing the whole thing, I would do the same pieces on both sides and use a decent sized board. They're very handy when used properly. And this one, you want about 1/4 inch of the lighter, again my hands are fighting against me here, the 1/4 inch of the lighter one showing at the bottom and the darker one over 1/4 inch at what looks like the top, the way I'm putting it together. And I'm actually using my mat to make sure I'm very close to that. These pieces will go on my project board. So I can take them over to the sewing machine. Sorry about the sun, it was very intrusive today. Now I'll tell you, I tried not to speed the sewing up a whole lot. So here's one corner, here's the other corner section. The graphic that pops up in the left hand side of your screen is pointing to the seam that I am sewing on. I hope y'all can see that okay. I don't know if that's helpful. I'm not the best teacher, but I'm pretty good at putting up pictures. This actually goes very fast. When I started these, my machine was acting up. Come to find out, some, otherwise intelligent person did not thread it correctly. I completely skipped going back up and coming down. I just came down the machine and threaded it, and you shouldn't do that. It doesn't work when I do that. That's going to go in. Okay. I noticed here that that blue and light blue piece was just a little bit off, and I still think if I did an 1/8, it would do better. I may have to change that on the pattern. I hate to do that though, because it'd be better just to find the center when you put it on here and trim off the sides. I might show that tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. I will show that tomorrow. Any questions, comments, feel free to leave them down below. Always happy to help where I can, and if I can't, I know people that I can find and ask for you. That's the great thing about learning with the friends that I've made on YouTube. If I have a question, all I've got to do is ask. And I have lots of questions. Some completely insane and unrelated. It doesn't stop me.
So I remember which side I'm sewing on. I've done it wrong multiple times.
Lining up these side-setting triangles just like I did the other one.
Did.
Except for I wasn't so sure I was. So I took it off and reset it. See how easy I get turned around? And I know it's not just me. And that's why I leave everything like that in here, because I know it's not just me. Yes, I'm inexperienced. No, I generally don't know what I'm doing, but I still try.
Pretty sure that's right.
Like all things in piecing, quilting, well, majority, I am using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. The foot that comes on my Brother XR9550 seems to do well. I also have seam tape there. Just, I need all the help I can get. Let's just put it out there. I need all the help I can get, so I use both. And the light colored triangle, the biggest one, is about a 1/4 inch
I picked up from there.
on the two sides. Too big, but that's okay. I like a little to cut down. So I figured that was a good thing and I left it like that.
This one. I'm going to grab this side. Oops. That's the side I'm going to sew. Dark on top, smush back. Need to double check this. I'm just going to leave that on top. It's easier with a small piece. Okay, that is correct. So I'm going to flip this over. Center's easier to find because right there is where it is. So I'm going to line that up without too much trouble. See how my corners out here match? I could put that side on too, but I don't want to fiddle with that one yet. So let's try them. Get these lined up. Turn it this way.
Please do not run over your pins. I have ran over some pins and it is instant regret. Instant. And not only have I ran them over, I have bent them right in half.
I put the long side on top and push it back because that seems easier. There we go. And this one.
Had my little iron turned on and then I did not use it. See? Perfect example of me making questionable choices.
This, that corner will line up there. Did I cut that too big? Or there's too little? We'll see. And that point right there. So let's see if we can cover it. Up.
Yeah.
A 1/4 and a 1/4, so I'm going to go ahead and see perfect right there. Trying to get that point. My 3.5 at this corner. Did not move like I just did. I am trimming this one down to 3.5, and I was where the dark and light meet in the corners. Same size. I had at my 3.5 inch mark on the lower part and on the upper part, and now I'll just trim this one to 3.5. I wish I had a perfect 1/4 inch every time I did it, and I didn't pull up my fabrics because I know they're on bias and you shouldn't do that, but occasionally I do that and my blogs get wonky. And then we just don't talk about it. Because we're friends. Right? We were friends up until 5 seconds ago, weren't we? Now I'm going to take this one. I've got the gray on the outside edge of both and the light blue on the inside. So I'm going to turn that over and do a 1/4 inch. Really? I'm not pinning it. I'm not pinning it. Quilting Rebels unite, you know. We do. Yo, I cut corners where I can. And I hope that it doesn't affect it. I am trying to get better at things. Ta-da! And that is one side. Look at us go! This side does measure 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches, which is exactly what it should measure. And look at that, we've done half of it. And if you repeat it, you will have done the whole thing. Or you can wait and watch me do the other half tomorrow. I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with me and listen to my nonsense. I try to stop. Honest. And it's late at night. My coffee has worn off. I'm resetting up these pieces so they'll be ready for Tuesday. And I hope you join me. Until then, take care. Have a great week, a great weekend. If you make any of these blocks, hey, let me know. Be the light you have to see in others.